point around the edge cases with editing and how I'm not fully immersed in the edge cases to understand how to deal with it. So um, some of these examples are there might be cross-group dependencies such as security for security rules. And if we need to make changes there, whether we have to coordinate those changes, some edge cases around getting the flows right to ensure that, that there's a one-to-one mapping between rules and branches. And some of those constraints are not in place at the moment. And so every like week something new has come up, and it's like kind of concerns me. So I was thinking whether it makes sense to reposition the MVC to focus on displaying the branch rules, as here are all the rules organized by branch, so we can view it. But if you need to edit it, we would fall back on the existing frame like areas within settings to change those. It may seem a little bit convoluted, as in like, oh, now I need to jump around more places, but I think it might give us more confidence that this is the right direction, that yeah, here's all your branch rules grouped in branches, and then over time we can like look into the details of how we restructured the data models and everything to support the editing experience.
I share your concerns, Michael, because in fact, one thing that it seems apparent is customers are using some of these features in ways that weren't originally planned, and we might not even necessarily understand. So if we go ahead and take away that functionality, unintentionally, we might have pushback. And then if we talk about, at GitLab, we don't have this option of having A/B testing really in the application, which is, I don't know, something we should look at. But we do have feature flags, but this is so big it actually would be a bit difficult to feature flag, I think, effectively. I mean, we could try. So I like that idea. I don't know what the effect that would have on the existing development to date. I know there's been a lot of work done on the data model. But I mean, we could continue working on that with the intention of hitting the eventual long view that we have, and then maybe go step by step as you're suggesting.
Yep, that makes sense to me, because I think our end goal is eventually to get to there, and there might be some other technical issues we don't know about the models, so it might be good to continue that road down the line. I also think there might be some updates to like maybe some queries to get all the data from both the current data model and the future data model. So I think there might be some extra work that I am not aware of. So maybe that could be something that we put into consideration. But yeah, I thought I would bring it up for the discussion.
Yeah, I think it's a really great point. I'm glad you brought it up. And I think also with the data model, I mean, I think the work, because it is a new data model, what they've done is actually there was a choice made between extending and creating a new one. And the choice was made to just create something completely new, and then there will be a transfer process. So, so that actually works in this scenario, because that work can just continue, and it just would never be exposed until we were ready. I guess the next step would be to work on the visual display of these existing rules in the new format.
I really super like this idea, because I think it will reduce the scope and complexity of the MVC. And to me, it seems that maybe all this information that we need for your new proposal is maybe already available in the backend, and maybe it's just that the front end needs to make more than one call or something. Do you think that is the case, Sean? That we can make this a simple front end work?
Yeah, I'm not sure actually, because there could be a bit of a speed bump there. I mean, we'd have to ask for Andre's advice on this, but I would assume that the new, we built part of what we're building is a whole lot of new GraphQL endpoints, for consumption by the front end. And I would assume that they had planned their changes around, you know, a dependence on these new endpoints. And those endpoints depended on the new data model. So that could get a bit tricky. But look, we can talk about it. Andre and I can talk about it offline, or the engineers can talk about it directly, and see whether is it possible or is it really difficult, and see what happens there.
Okay, then I guess we all agree we should go forward with your proposal, Michael.
Okay, and then I'll have a lot of then I'll focus on getting like the solution validation around the branch display and detailed views of it sorted sooner than later.
Great.
The next one is me. So Sean, while you were out, we defined the OKRs, and I don't know whether you had a chance to look at them. And two of the OKRs were defined a bit more openly. So one of these more open ones is that deliver one highly demanded feature that is at least premium. The other open one is deliver, hold on. The other one that's more open, which is related to GitLab hosted first, is deliver one highly demanded feature or bug or specific customer at risk, addressing SaaS custom needs or those that want to move to SaaS. When I wrote this, I found it a good idea. I'm struggling a bit to find the right issue here, but I'll continue looking into that. But the first one, which is in the document that we're looking at, is around delivering a highly demanded feature that is at least premium. And I think the one that stands out in terms of number of upvotes is clearly report the number of lines per language in the repository charts. And I've been starting to look more detailedly into that. And unfortunately, it's a very because if you have so many requesters, it's also a very big mix of what these people want and what they need and why they need it. And it goes from, you know, GitHub has this, it's important for developer ego to know the number of lines of code they've written. And to, you know, admins or CIOs need to know the distribution of code across different projects, different groups, and even, you know, on GitLab and Bitbucket and you name it, right? So that they have something that tells them what is the distribution of code that they have in terms of potentially hiring. Hiring wasn't mentioned, but I'm thinking that may be the case. Then also, you know, tooling and risk assessment and understanding which languages grow and so on. So I'm planning to, you know, detail that a bit and then openly write in the issue my thoughts and ask specifically those that ask for that, why they need it, what they're trying to achieve. Because for instance, for that CIO, I don't see why it would be important to know the exact number of lines of code. We could maybe do an estimation, right? So we just do some statistics, you know, byte size of Java is translated into these number of lines of code, and Python is that, and so on. And then we give some estimation that might be totally enough for that. And what these users need is really they need it on the group level. And they don't care so much about the project level, right? And those are the users that would be, yeah, we could definitely consider premium or even ultimate tiering.
Yeah, I would love to see an all-in feature for source code management. I think that would be the ultimate.
Yeah, do you, Sean, from your feeling, do you think it's reasonable to make an estimation of lines of code based on the byte size? So for your background, currently, we report languages by byte size. It's reported from Gitterly, and we show that in the analytics for the project, but we don't bring it up to the group level, it seems to me. Do you think it's reasonable to make an estimation on lines of code?
I think that could be, it could be very tricky. I mean, you know, obviously the two things that could affect it is, you know, languages can vary obviously dramatically within themselves, but also code style, you know, the way in which people code can also affect quite a lot the lines of code. So estimating, you know, we might find that it's inexact, which might then be contrary to the goal we're trying to achieve there. Like if we estimate and it's actually incorrect, or you know, if it's out by a lot, then that's tricky. I'm just wondering why we wouldn't kind of just actually calculate it. I mean, it might have to be a background process or.
Yeah. So there was one comment from a Gitterly developer that this would be a large amount of work,
right?
And it would come with performance, potentially performance issues, and to avoid those, it would be a significant amount of work. Therefore, I'm thinking that maybe we can just say for those users that I just talked about, those admins, it's fine to have the byte size. The problem with byte size, it then is not comparable to Bitbucket or GitHub that might report the lines of code, right?
Yeah, I think byte size, I think is, you know, it doesn't really tell you anything actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, really,
because
I mean, what does
is
it
the
mean?
reason because you could have like large parts commented out and
yeah, I mean, some people, you know, they write their code in all different ways, you know, and so yeah, I don't know how useful that would be in terms of solving the Gitterly problems. I mean, I think Gitterly, I don't know if Gitterly works with background processes. Maybe that's something they would consider introducing, because this would not need to be anywhere near real time. It'll also, you know, depending what tier it is, it also will affect a small group of customers, a smaller group of customers than everyone. So maybe that could ease some of Gitterly's fears. Look, it could even be some type of Ruby job, but it would make more sense to do it in Gitterly. I mean, we'd have to call Gitterly anyway. Going back to the estimation aspect, it might also be worth, I mean, we're integrated with Sourcegraph, and Sourcegraph, you know, they have all sorts of knowledge about programming languages that I don't know if this can help us, but maybe there would be some way we could leverage what they have in their database, you know, with estimating. But in general, I think that estimating is not the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah. Just because I think, you know, if it turns out to be wildly wrong, which is quite possible, then you know, we've just got a whole lot of effort to create something that users won't really want. It might be worth, I don't know what kind of relationship we have with Sourcegraph, but it might be worth just seeing if that's a possibility. That, or even if they can do something. I mean, that's a separate database, I think. So that could be another avenue.
Help me a bit understand what does Sourcegraph do and how could it help?
Well, we're integrated with Sourcegraph. At the level, I'm not really entirely sure, but they, you know, they kind of have like a database of the code itself, right? So they have like a queryable structure.
The purpose is to be able to search through projects.
Well, so it has awareness of the code, so you can click through more easily, you know, relationships between objects in the code. But a side effect of that is they've actually, you know, they've consumed the entire repository.
And do they do that by having a copy of everything, or is it integrated inside of?
Yeah, that part I don't know, but I would assume that it has to have a database. I don't know how it would work otherwise, but it might be worth looking into. I'm also not sure whether we have some type of formal partnership with them, or it's or we're just using their open source version because they have the 2
Cool.
tiers.
Who should we talk to?
I don't know, actually. I don't know who's responsible for, I guess maybe we should start with understanding whether we are just consuming the open source version. And then if we have a relationship with them, who would be the relationship manager? I can also do some reading and see if I can get any clues. But just to take a step back, I think the simplest solution would be to just count them. But I guess we would need to work with Gitly to see how that could be done efficiently.
Yeah. So Michael, you asked whether we could use Clock. Yeah, there are a number of people that proposed that. I don't know whether. I think Clock is written in Go, right? Which is
It's
it's
Java.
Perl.
Yeah, Perl, is it?
Yeah.
Pro.
Yeah, there's a Pro version. I think there's
There
multiple
is
different
another one.
versions.
There's another one that was written in Go, like SCC or something. I'm not sure.
But
Wasn't
I can see
mentioned.
this would just probably look at one branch, and I guess people would care about the whole repository, like all the different branches and all that. So there was another comment where someone suggested that this could happen periodically. So that idea of making this a Ruby job or something might be a good step forward. And since this is a potentially a paid feature, then this could justify, using that compute time to like use our servers to run those kind of jobs to calculate those numbers. So it might be worthwhile.
Since I haven't done this, how do we deal with cost? So if we do this like an offline, like a side job that needs to run,
I mean, we don't have
by doing this monthly. Do we try to understand what the cost is, and then?
I mean, we have visibility over runner costs, but we don't have very good visibility over just general background jobs. It's a bit hard for us to estimate how much a specific job is costing us. It could be done for the runner. It could be a runner job where, they pull the whole repo and then they just, they use something like Clock and just count it, and then it wouldn't have a lot of strain on Gitly if we did that. But it would be, it would need to be in the runner somewhere. It would also make it easier to handle the costs.
You mean because then we could have the customer pay for the runner? Is that what you?
Well, we could just, if it's a runner job, then we already tracking minutes of runner. It could be some type of specialized runner job, and then we're already tracking the minutes, and so we know.
But it would be a runner in the customer's namespace, so it would be they pay for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, it probably would need to be an option.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but so when I say runner job,
and then they pay the cost.
Yeah, when I say runner job, I don't mean they would write the CI themselves, although that could be an option. But it could be they have some type of option, and then we run a special runner in the background that's a bit invisible to them, and then it comes back. So we'll just pull the repo and use something like Clock to do the counting, and then store that back in the database.
Okay. All right. I will start with the beginning, which is better understand the why and what, and then cut it and so on.
One point is it does seem like something we should have. It also does. I mean, the couple of solutions we just outlined they're all fairly complicated.
They feel complicated.
Well, I mean, there's going to be a number of moving parts in whatever direction we take. And probably fairly big development effort, possibly across teams. And so I'm just wondering, do we have a feel for how much customers really want this?
Yes. So there are 18 customers.
Okay.
And there are 560 upvotes.
Okay, well, that
Of course,
sounds
the
great. Okay.
560 upvotes are a mixed bag, probably.
Yep.
We don't have metrics on, whether they are premium, ultimate, or free. But given I've been now halfway through the comments.
Yep.
Given the comments, it looks like there is a number that just cares about, I know this from GitHub. I want to know at the end of the day how much lines of code. And
Okay. Yeah.
and
That's
I've been in interviews where the future employer asked me how many lines of code have you written, whatever, right? So they want to know this.
So it's mostly an aspect of achieving feature parity.
For some of them, yes.
Right.
For the other ones, it's more like, because that I haven't found out whether there is some kind of organizational aggregation at GitHub. I don't know yet. I have to check it out.
I don't think so. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that could work for us.
So then going back to your the beginning of your comment, right? So any of the solutions look big. In terms of my beginning of where I started, let's find a highly demanded feature that is at least premium, right? And
Yep.
Address this in this quarter to address the OKR. Potentially, this is not the best candidate, right?
I think your next point is looks amazing, but I guess you don't want to have it on the live stream.
Yes, we can jump that one and come back to it later.
Okay, I think the next point would be a great ultimate feature. I mean, it has to be an ultimate feature.
Yeah. Okay. Let's discuss that. Okay, then let's jump that one and go to your.
I had a couple of very quick points. So one is that we're about to hire. Well, we're very close to hiring 3 engineers for source code management. So offers are out, and we're just waiting for feedback, etc. So 2 are senior and 1 is intermediate. And if we hire all these engineers, 2 are in EMEA and 1's in North America. So I think that'll actually be awesome. We will of course have to on-ramp them. That'll take a little while, but I've got some ideas around that. So that's great. And thank you very much to product for getting us the headcount. Really appreciate it.
I will tell the one that got it.
Well, yeah, we haven't quite got them yet. In fact, we
No, I mean,
it's been a long road.
Got the approval. So that was Sarah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And so because Contribute was cancelled, there are now, you may be aware, there's a visiting grant, and so there's been some efforts to set up regional meetups. So 1 in Asia Pac, 1 in North America, and 1 in EMEA for the dev organization. So it's the engineering organization, and there's a issue in the document there. I'm kind of thinking, why restrict it to dev? It's regional. So I'm thinking we should at least include product, or anyone who's in the region. And I guess that, in my opinion, that should apply to the other regions as well. But there's issue there specifically for EMEA, and there's parallel issues for it.
It even contradicts the guidelines, right? To just say it's
although I don't know, are there other initiatives happening in the other parts of the organization? But yeah,
I'm not. At least I haven't been invited.
Yeah.
There are no activities around product, but there are activities, for instance, in Berlin, to come up with something. So that would be Berlin regional, and we would invite people from whoever wants to travel to Berlin. But
yeah, well, I'd love to come to Berlin actually, and that's on my list for this year. So I think the general criteria was that it should be a hub, and somewhere interesting to go. It seems very vague at the moment, but I just thought I'd put that in there.
Yeah.
Do you want to stop the recording and talk about the other item?
Are there other topics that you want to talk about?
I don't have anything else.